So I was talking to you about the self-help groups, that's how we
Yeah.
founded it. But yeah, now the major work that we are doing at present is in the Sundarbans. And the work involves large number of women folks from villages from the districts of North 24 Parganas and South 24 Parganas. And we are working in Sandeshkhali. We are working in another area which is also a part of Sandeshkhali. We call it Sandeshkhali 2. We are working in a big way in Hingalganj. That's also a part of the islands of Sundarbans. And we are also working in Goshaba area. In all these areas, our major focus is women's empowerment, children's education, health awareness and health-oriented programs. These are the major areas where we focus our work. And again, I would say that the whole work has the philosophy of awakening the consciousness of the people toward a kind of self-help, so that they don't have to always believe that somebody will come to help them, but we basically help them all the time to see what they already have within them and what resources are there all around which needs to be motivated and moved toward them. So yes, I will say that another thing that I would like to tell you, that Loknath Divine Life Mission's model of self-help groups and microcredit is very special. In the sense, at this moment of time, all over India, the self-help group that was first started by most organizations in India gradually came to a point where they could understand that if they could link the self-help groups to the banks, the commercial banks which are functioning in the villages, it's not going to work. They found it, that it's not going to work. So what happened, all these NGOs or these volunteer organizations or the service-oriented organizations, they started their own funding, financing, which they call it financial institutes. Now through microfinancial institutes, they started lending directly to the self-help group members. And now, almost all over the country, including West Bengal, including Calcutta, all the organizations, basically they have their own funding resources. So they borrow from the banks, they have the money with them, they lend it to the individual group members, they collect the money, and it is the difference is their establishment costs or whatever they say it. But our model is not like that. Even today, because what happened was, from the beginning, though I was told that my model is not going to work, but I stuck to it. Why I stuck to it is there is a reason behind it. Even I know that this is really not a very good proposition from my side to continue with the old model. But I'm still sticking to it because of the simple fact that I never wanted my mission to be a banker. Call it micro banking or call it macro banking, call it anything, but I didn't want this mission or this institution to be a banker. I always believed the bank will do the banker's job, we will do our job. And our job is basically to act as a catalyst between two, the grassroots women, educate them, bring them to a point where they really could organize themselves, bring little bit of thrift and savings, create their deposits, bring it to the bank. Bank will take the deposits and will gradually understand that these groups are viable groups, feasible groups, so whatever economic propositions they have, bank will finance them. So we will work with the women, we'll work with the bank, but we'll be never the banker. So that was my primary philosophy with which I started my organization. And I never budged an inch in spite of the fact that I know that is not a good proposition. Even today, when all have changed, I have not. And as a result, what's happening is that even now I am basically working with the same model where all these 800 groups that we have, with about more than 8,000 women, which means 8,000 families. And you can just imagine that the total volume of deposits mobilized by these women from the villages of Sundarbans is to the tune of 4.5 million Indian rupees. And the internal lending, that means the money they have in their own hands, which they have not yet put to the bank, their own money transaction. That means if any individual member wanted some financial assistance, they will not seek the banker's help. They themselves have some cash with them. So they lend it from there and then get it back. Whatever interest is earned, that becomes a part of the corpus of that particular self-help group fund. Now that internal lending itself has crossed almost like 4.3 million Indian rupees. And the amount of bank loans raised for the banks in order to take care of different kinds of micro-entrepreneurial activities, that is also the tune of 4.3 million Indian rupees. So all this quantum that we are talking about basically is nothing but a kind of an empowerment which has happened because we could educate the women first. We never gave them seed money. We gave them nothing but education, understanding, empowerment, and a kind of a trust in themselves that they should not be confined to their own little families, little huts, little homes, at times and most often atrociously treated by the male folks. But they should rise up, and in order to do that, they needed a wider range of family relationship. That was my whole teaching to the villagers. I told them that, look here, individually, you are a very small power. But if all families in a village can join together under one umbrella, let's call it the umbrella of self-help groups. Each group would be having 10 to 12 members. But if you have 100 groups in the same area, so you will have 1200 women. That means you have 1200 families all knit together. Now look, this is the beautiful concept, because what I'm trying to say is that over a period of time, my continuous educating the women folks about it gave them a feeling now that they don't have a single family to look after. They have 100 more families to really think about. So each family thinks about the other. As a result, there's a wider group of people who are thinking for a wider understanding of the concept of socio-economic changes. And this I have seen in the last 10-15 years, a tremendous change in the levels of consciousness of the people and in the levels of understanding that they themselves can all join together and protect themselves against all kinds of odds, call it political, social, whatever it is. And the taboos of the villages, the old ruts of, all kinds of what should I say, the traditional ideas and things. So they are kind of gradually coming out of it all, and that's really something profound, I would say. So you can say that the mission's work has been very profound in creating what I always call the consciousness that each individually is potentially divine. In divinity is the entire power of the entire universe. That is the understanding that when I say each individual is potentially divine, means inside of you there is that fountain from where the infinite knowledge, infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite anything that you are basically looking for are all available inside of us, provided we are connected to that creative source. And that source is one. We may be different, we may be many, but the source is one. So basically, my work in the villages is not just economic emancipation. It is not just economic empowerment, because I don't believe economic empowerment can do any good to this world. Because my reference point is what the world is today. I have seen communities, societies where people are economically very well empowered and they're very poor in hearts. They're struggling, psychologically completely devastated. So my whole idea is that when I go to the villages, work with the women, men, children, the whole idea is education. Not that in the village somebody should be able to speak in English and then I have learned a lot. No, that's not the idea. My whole idea is to tell them that, look here, just speaking English is not education. It's how you bring forth your latent potentials and you become a truly all-round good human being who can feel for others. Will not do any acts by which somebody could be hurt somewhere.